My A race this year is and he says in quotes, friendly 2-day Grand Fondo style charity ride from Seattle to Vancouver. Most of the time the group ride hangs together, but there are 4 major hills on the first day. Last year I got dropped like a freshman philosophy class on 3 of them. And he says, and even though we were all together going into the final 10-mile section, 8 hills of about 150 to 400 feet each. So he's looking at, anywhere from 70 up to I guess 150 meters, somewhere around there. I was 10 minutes off the back by the end of those climbs. The group is all younger, smaller, and more experienced than I am. One of the primary reasons to ride with them, he says. He says, I have 15 years and at least 20 kilograms on the next closest guy. And this year, my son-in-law will likely be joining us. He's 5 foot 6 inches, 145 pounds. He's a runner who does marathons on 48 hours notice. He says, even if I can't beat the rest of the group, I must crush him.
I must crush him.
So with TrainerRoad, I've managed to crank my FTP from last year's 240 to 305. Nice job. And I've just started another build block. In about 4 weeks, I'll be ordering some Flow 60 disc wheels. He means disc brakes, I assume. Upgraded my bottom bracket and gone to paraffin lube. He's done all the things. So my question is, what else can I do? Chad and Nate, how would you crush Jonathan on a ride like this?
First off, I'd look at the perspective of the son-in-law looking at the dad.
Yeah,
I'd just give it to him. It's yours, brother.
Can you imagine having your father-in-law with a fighting background, gigantic guy, and he's an ex-fighter? That's terrifying. I would not have married into that family. Yeah, that would have been scary.
I'll just ride his wheel the whole time. Yeah. You're doing great, buddy.
Doing great. Push him, do whatever else. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how would you guys, if this was us, we were doing this sort of ride, how would you drop me, beat me?
I would not give your son a TrainerRoad subscription. No, but okay. So this race, if it's the same one, you're saying there's 4 hills and everything else is together. Yeah. So really, it's just power to weight on the climb, and everything else is a group ride. Yeah. It doesn't sound like if it was a race and I was going against you and there were long climbs. I don't want to get a breakaway. I don't want to get time on you.
You'd want to get ahead of me before the climb.
Exactly. Yep. Which would be hard to do, but that would be the way to do it if I know the climb was going to be long enough where I was going to get dropped.
Where would you look to leverage your larger size or power? Like, where would you look to gap me?
Yeah, crosswinds or a tailwind. Crosswinds being the best. Just did
downhills too, good one. Yeah.
What, downhills? Downhills are a little bit...
Assuming you're a competent descender, and, I mean... Safety's going to trump.
Yeah. I feel like on downhills, you get a little bit of, it's like softens the legs, but you usually don't get a big gap like you would in crosswind stuff. You can get like 10, 15 seconds. The group will usually come back with you.
Yeah, if he has a group. If you spin him off solo, it's really hard for us smaller riders to be able to...
But if he gets a small gap on a downhill and just settles into a tuck, he'll have to work to get back on his wheel.
We have to work so hard to catch you bigger riders on descents.
But in this race, probably not going to happen. Probably not. I just did the road race. There's a crosswind section, and I pushed it on purpose with a group of like 5 were off the front hard, and we gapped. Ben Reagan's, which is he's a really good climber and actually outclimbed me, and he couldn't get back on because we kept pushing. So if there's a crosswind with your is it son-in-law? Totally push it on that crosswind, especially at 145 pounds. And then when you do that, if there's a center line rule or whatever it is, make sure you get all the way over.
Gutter him.
Yeah, that's what's called a guttering. And maybe in this race, not actually right in the gutter, since it's a charity Grand Fondo, and there's maybe not everyone
quite so cutthroat.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, he must crush him. That's an important detail.
But be aware too that you're going to give a really good draft at that weight and height. So anything else, if you think you're pushing into a headwind or no wind, and your son-in-law's behind you, he's getting such a great free ride that you might think that you're hurting him, but you're not.
Yeah, and you can try to burn him up too. I mean, in those crosswinds or headwinds, put him in front, ride his wheel for a while. It might not be the best draft, but he's doing more work than you are.
Motivate him to pull a lot.
Yes.
So that's another thing. The mind game's like, go up there. Come on, let's get going.
You got this.
You're 15 years, 20 years younger, 30 years younger than me. You should go do it.
Yeah. The least favorite thing that I like is when we're riding in a race, we have climbs coming up, and if you just make it hard before the climbs, it's just so tough, because then the relative advantage I have, you've just brought it down. It's a really tough thing.
But it could be hard for the big guys too. Yeah. So make sure you don't. You and our road race that we just did, there was this is a little aside, but Pete Morris talks about this. Beginning of the race, it was a really big headwind, 30 miles per hour.
Jeez.
And I didn't want to pull at the front. So another thing to do is you hide the whole race you can. Yeah. And this was in a race. This was in a group ride. People were peeling off the front and like flipping their elbow.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't pull through. And these college kids, podcast listeners, sorry guys, but they were losing their minds. I could see in the shadow, they were actually doing hand gestures to me and yelling at me, why aren't you pulling through? There's no one up the road.
It was like they were driving the pace for no reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like a group ride. This is a race, people.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to do that. And then they got frustrated and they actually attacked into the headwind. And right before turnaround, where it was going to be a tailwind, and then we caught them right before the climb.
Yeah.
So to your point, like if you do push it, we caught them before the climb, and then we dropped them.
Yes.
But there's no reason, Mark, if you're racing this, that you ever have to pull. And if you do pull, you can do like fake pulls.
Yeah.
The winner of the race, also Justin Thomas, he didn't pull either in these things, but no one yelled at him.
If you're going to pull, make it meaningful. Make it impactful for somebody else
for the race.
For yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So if you're going to pull, if it's a crosswind to hurt them, I mean, in a group ride, you just pull because it's fun for everyone to do it. But in a race, there's like, it's okay to go slow at sometimes.
Yeah.
In order for you to save energy. So if everyone else, if he's pulling through, your son-in-law, but you're sitting on the back the whole time, you could totally do that.
Oh, yeah.
You totally do that. There's nothing, it's not like illegal to not pull.
The other thing that I would say too is on rough pavement or like a rough surface, or if there's gravel involved for sure, anything that increases like the amount of power that you need to put out, that just takes the same amount out of everybody. So when you have a higher threshold because you're a bigger athlete, it's going to have less relative impact on you, relative
I mean,
to
you're
that
effectively racing him, so just make him work and beat him up.
Okay, here's some other things you should do. You should buy him jerseys that are a little bit too big. So before,
yes,
this is getting pretty bad.
Get like buy like a Rafa or an Ossos one, like a really nice one.
Get
so
the
it's like
event
a
one
good
in
gift.
XXL.
Yeah, but club fit and if he's 145, get him like a large.
Yeah,
right?
There you
so
go.
it's flappy.
Yeah.
Same. Get him a little hat that has the visor.
Yeah,
like cyclists should not be wearing these in races because they're just like a little snowplow for the wind. But be like, you look good in that.
Yeah.
Helmets that are, I would get a big airy helmet that's not aero.
Tell them to get gator skins.
Yeah, be like
Gator skin tires.
buy some tires.
Fastest tires out there.
And sometimes like earlier on before, as you're younger, you don't have as much money. So, new tires. Like, you're not getting flat with these Gator skins. That can add 20 watts, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
it's great.
And then the jersey can be another 20 watts.
Oh, yeah.
You take 40 watts out of them right there.
Get him a new chain, but don't take off the factory grease.
Oh yeah, good looking. I think one of the worst. Look at the friction facts for the chain lube.
Yeah.
There are some really bad ones.
Yeah.
At the bottom, this is so bad. So buy him. Look at that and buy him the worst chain lube possible.
Yes.
Because you're waxing your chain or you're using whatever paraffin lube.
Yeah.
Get the worst wax possible.
Yeah.
You can make the disc. You make the brakes rub a little bit.
Exactly.
That's a little bit too far. Maybe.
Get downright shady if you want
to.
Yeah. Don't tell him to shave his legs.
Show him pictures of Fabian Cancellara, always holding onto the hoods, and say that if you get out of the hoods, you're not fast. So you just have to stay up there the whole time.
Right, tall.
Yeah,
right,
just try to find one where his elbows weren't bent, making himself aero. So, anything else?
Other than that, I mean, you're going to sag climb the climb also. But in order to crush him on these climbs, I guess that's when people get dropped. You're going to need to have a higher power to weight ratio. So when you look at the Tina scale too, and you're 12%, or is that in athlete mode? I bet that's in athlete mode.
Yeah.
So if it's in athlete mode, in regular person mode, you're probably
24-ish.
Maybe 20, somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there.
But that means there's fat to lose, and that was you could lose the weight because if you lost 20 pounds at a FTP of 300, that's big improvement.
Yeah, to recap, in my mind, if it's not on a grade, if it's like you're not climbing up something, in situations where more power is required, once again, and not on a climb, if you make it hard, then it's going to be extra hard for us little guys. And
another thing for us bigger riders, so this is specifically going against Jonathan, to beat Jonathan in a race, I would do it at points where I think at our power profiles, I think my only advantage over him would be a flat race where it's a minute maybe power, and I can get a gap. If there's no gap, then he's going to get on me. And he has enough acceleration that it needs to have like a slingshot effect. So if I was going to try to beat Jonathan, it would be something where it's an all-out effort or a bridge to a breakaway. Because if you can get to a breakaway and they work and Jonathan has no one to help him, that's also very hard to bridge.
Yeah.
Would be that. But if I were to attack in front of you, so if you're going to attack your son-in-law, it's got to be you start from the back and you come by.
At your friendly Grand Fonda.
30.
You must crush him.
Well, you could get a team to do a breakaway.
Totally.
Yep. There's some crosswinds.
It'll
You
work.
guys go really hard, and you drop that son-in-law like a bad habit.
Yeah, that's
like
it.
a freshman, whatever, philosophy class.
Yeah,
That's
that was
awesome.
good.